The legend of the Devil's Footprints is one of the most bizarre and chilling mysteries in British history. It's a story that has persisted for centuries, sparking theories, debates, and speculation over how a series of mysterious hoof-like prints could have appeared across a vast stretch of England overnight. The story is steeped in intrigue, fear, and supernatural connotations, with many believing that the footprints were left by none other than the devil himself. But is there more to the story than just legend? Could there be a rational explanation, or is it indeed an unexplained phenomenon that defies logic? Let's dive deep into this fascinating and eerie mystery. Origins of the Devil's Footprints. Devil's footprints were first recorded in 1855 in Devon, England. This peculiar event occurred during a particularly harsh winter, from February 8th to February 9th, when snow had blanketed the countryside. Early the following morning, locals began noticing strange, hoof-like marks in the snow, which seemed to follow a random, seemingly impossible path. The footprints were described as looking like the hooves of a large animal, but the tracks were far too large to be from any known creature, and their alignment and spacing appeared unnatural. The tracks appeared in a variety of locations across Devon, stretching for miles, with no apparent origin or conclusion. The footprints ranged from small to large and were found in places where it was seemingly impossible for an animal to traverse, such as across rooftops and even walls. In some places, the marks seemed to jump over obstacles, further deepening the mystery. The local press, as well as several individuals who investigated the strange phenomenon, were quick to draw conclusions. The unusual tracks were often associated with folklore and legend, particularly with the devil himself. The random and chaotic nature of the prints led many to believe that the devil had walked through the area, leaving his mark upon the land. The prints themselves seemed to stretch across towns, villages, and farmland, creating a chilling trail that no one could explain. Descriptions of the footprints. According to eyewitnesses and investigators, the devil's footprints were peculiar in many respects. The most significant feature was their hoof-like appearance. They resembled the hoof prints of a large animal, but they were unnaturally uniform in shape, with no apparent variation that would typically be seen in the tracks of an actual animal. The prints were often reported to be about 3 to 4 inches wide and about 7 to 8 inches long, with some reports suggesting the size of the hooves could be as large as 9 inches long. Some witnesses even claimed that the footprints were not in a straight line, which would be expected of a creature walking naturally. Instead, the tracks appeared to leap from one place to another, almost as if the devil had hopped or floated across the landscape. In some cases, the prints seemed to appear on rooftops or across walls, which defied any logical explanation, adding to the eerie and supernatural nature of the event. Additionally, the direction of the footprints appeared erratic and aimless. In some areas, the prints seemed to double back on themselves, while in others, they went in circles or made sharp turns without any clear reason. This randomness further suggested that the tracks were not made by any known animal, adding fuel to the theory that the devil himself was responsible. Reactions and theories. The mysterious footprints were discovered. The people of Devon were understandably disturbed. The local population, already living in a time of heightened superstition and religious belief, had no problem believing that the prints were of a supernatural origin. For them, the tracks could only mean one thing: the devil himself had visited their area. In the days that followed, many explanations were proposed, ranging from supernatural to natural, but none could fully explain the phenomena. Some of the most common theories that arose were based on folklore and the religious beliefs of the time. Some locals believed that the devil, who was said to have the power to take on various forms, had appeared in the shape of a great beast and left his tracks in the snow. Others suggested that the devil had walked through the area as part of a larger plan to spread fear and chaos. Another explanation put forward was that the footprints were a manifestation of a local curse. According to local legend, the land around Devon had been cursed by witches or occult practitioners, and the devil's visit was the result of this curse. In some variations of the story, it was said that the devil had been summoned to wreak havoc on the region, and the footprints were a sign of his presence. Rational explanation. While many theories focused on the supernatural, there were also attempts to provide more rational explanations for the devil's footprints. Some researchers suggested that the tracks could have been made by a large animal, such as a deer or wild boar, which had wandered through the snow during the night. However, the uniformity of the prints and their peculiar appearance made this explanation highly unlikely. One popular explanation proposed by skeptics was that the footprints were the result of an unusually strong wind. It was theorized that the wind could have swept debris across the snow, creating the illusion of hoof-like marks. However, this theory was quickly dismissed, as there were no signs of wind-blown debris, and the prints appeared too clear and distinct to have been caused by natural weather patterns. Another plausible explanation involves a phenomenon known as snowmelt tracking. This occurs when snow is slightly melted by a combination of sunlight and warmth from the earth, and then refreezes, leaving behind perfectly defined prints in the snow. While this theory might account for the distinct nature of the prints, it still doesn't explain the seemingly impossible and random nature of the footprints. There have been also speculations that the footprints were simply a hoax. Some believe that pranksters or locals looking for attention might have created the prints to confuse and frighten others. The idea that someone might have placed the prints in an effort to create fear and mystery is an interesting theory, though it fails to fully explain why the tracks appeared across such a vast area. Further sightings and pop culture influence. While the most famous appearance of the devil's footprints occurred in 1855, similar occurrences have been reported sporadically in the years that followed. In some cases, people claim to have witnessed footprints appearing in different parts of England or even across the world. These reports often followed the same pattern, with tracks appearing mysteriously overnight in snow or other soft ground. As the legend of the devil's footprints grew, it found its way into British pop culture and folklore. It became a popular subject for writers, artists, and filmmakers who used it as a symbol of mystery and fear. The prints themselves were often used as a metaphor for the unknown, the supernatural, and the frightening forces that lurk just beyond human understanding. In literature, the devil's footprints became a recurring theme in horror stories and Gothic novels. Writers such as Arthur Machen and M.R. James referenced the phenomenon, weaving the mysterious tracks into their tales of the occult and the eerie. The legend inspired countless adaptations in film and television, where the idea of an otherworldly presence leaving its mark on the earth took on a life of its own. The psychological and cultural impact. Mystery of the devil's footprints has had a significant impact on the psychology and culture of the people who have encountered it. For many, the idea that the devil himself could walk among them was enough to instill a deep sense of fear and unease. The random nature of the footprints and their eerie placement only served to heighten the fear that something supernatural or malevolent was at play. The event tapped into deep-seated fears about the unknown and the power of the supernatural. The devil's footprints, whether real or imagined, became a symbol of the fragility of human understanding and the potential for forces beyond comprehension to alter the course of everyday life. In a time when superstition was prevalent, the appearance of the track served as a reminder of the power of the unseen and the unexplainable. Conclusion: an enduring mystery. The mystery of the devil's footprints remains unsolved to this day. Despite numerous attempts to explain the phenomenon, no definitive answer has emerged to explain how the tracks appeared or what caused them. Whether the footprints were the result of a supernatural event, a natural phenomenon, or a human hoax remains unclear. The legend of the devil's footprints endures as one of England's most baffling mysteries, and its continued allure speaks to our fascination with the unknown and the supernatural. Perhaps the true significance of the devil's footprints is not in the search for answers, but in their ability to spark wonder, fear, and curiosity about the world around us. The footprints, whether they were real or imagined, have left an indelible mark on our collective consciousness, reminding us that there are mysteries that may never be explained, and sometimes that's the most terrifying thing of all.